So UFC 289 just wrapped up a few hours ago, and I'm going to be going over the whole card, giving my reactions and breakdowns of all the fights on the card, and letting you know what I thought of each fight, as well as giving some next fight to makes for some of the key fighters on the card. So we're going to start off with the early prelims, go all the way to the main event, and I'll let you know what I think. Starting off with the early prelim opener of Diana Belbita versus Maria Oliveira. Belbita won a unanimous decision. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, wasn't the most exciting. She just showed to be better on the feet, more skilled. Not a heap of the grappling happened. Oliveira got a few takedowns, found a bit of success there, but for the most part, it was just Belbita being a cleaner, better striker, had her chin tucked more often, and she was more defensively sound as well. And Oliveira just couldn't really get going or land much of anything significant on the feet. And Belbita won a unanimous decision, so that was very good for her. Moving on to David Dvorak versus Stefan Erceg. Erceg won a decision in his debut. It was a great show-up performance for him. The fight was quite entertaining as well. Dvorak was winning. He won the first round. He was cruising in the second round, looking really good. And then Dvorak caught him with a right hand and dropped him badly, and then got him with a head kick as well, rocked him, and then he just took over from there in the fight. Dvorak started to gas out, look tired, and Erceg just put the pressure on him and just landed better shots. He was making his UFC debut here. He was the eternal flyweight champion, and he's come into the UFC for his first fight, and he's done really well for himself, beating the number 10 ranked guy in David Dvorak. Um, Moving on to the prelim opener of Kyle Nelson versus Blake Bilder. Nelson won another decision. There was a few decisions to start off the card. Bilder came into this fight as the favorite. And many people predicted him to win. Obviously, he was a prospect coming in, undefeated. This was his first loss, and he lost the decision to Nelson. He really got kind of fraud checked and exposed as not the best fighter, to be honest. He wasn't landing a heap of good shots, and he was kind of just looking silly as the fight went on. Towards the end, he started dancing, started doing some like showmanship, and it's kind of like, bro, you're losing. What are you doing? Fight the guy. He just couldn't really get going. He had a bit of success with some grappling, but for the most part, he looked not good on the feet. And Nelson just did more, landed cleaner shots, bloodied his nose up, um, popped the jab, got the right straights going as well, and just showed to be a better technical fighter. And that's a good win for Nelson. Obviously, he's been in a bit of a rough spot in his career recently, but a win here has probably kept his spot in the promotion for now. So that was good to see from him. As for Bilder, you got to go back, rebuild, and see where you can get your career from here. Obviously, every undefeated fighter takes a loss for the most part. This is just the first. This is a part of his career. We'll see what happens with him going forward. Hopefully, he can rebound and come back better. Moving on to Aiemann Zahabi versus Aoriqileng. This was the first knockout of the card and one of the only finishes of the card. Aiemann Zahabi got a round 1 KO in just over a minute. Very impressive. Got him with a left right hand kind of combination. He ducked in, shot in for the takedown with the feint, and then went over the top with the overhand right, and he KO'd Aoriqileng. Tried to go with a walk-off KO, would have been cool. Ended up having to land a few more shots to finish it off, but he did so. So that's a really good win for him. Looks a bit like Ariel Helwani. Everyone was kind of joking about that, but really good win for him. Not too much as the fight only went for a minute really. Aoriqileng looked quite stiff coming out, quite plodding and kind of a bit slow. Zahabi just timed him well, landed a good shot and put him down. So it's really good for him to get a win. Aoriqileng will, I'm sure he'll be back. He's a good fighter. It's just a tough loss for him in his career right now. Moving on to Miranda Maverick versus Jasmine Jasudivicius. Jasmine won a unanimous decision win and kind of exposed Miranda for not being very good at all. Um, Coming into this fight, Maverick was a heavy favourite, around 3-1, and had a ranked spot in the flyweight division. She's going to lose that spot now to Jasmine. Really just got shown to be not good in all areas, to be honest. Jasmine was doing a lot better in the striking. The first round was close. Jasmine edged it out on the scorecards, but Maverick had a armbar attempt in there that kind of, I think one of the judges or two might have given it to the first round to her. She had some decent work off her back on the ground, but then as it went on, she didn't. The grappling didn't work out for her as much. She got held down when she did shoot a takedown, kept getting reversed, and in the striking, classic kind of women's fight, she just kept getting outpointed and lost the decision win. So it was unfortunate for her. The Canadians, Jasmine, came through for the Canadians again. They went undefeated um, on the card as well. So it was a really good night for the fans in Canada. Moving on to Nassourdine Imavov versus Chris Curtis. It was an unfortunate ending to the fight. Chris Curtis got headbutted and couldn't continue. He got a big cut over his eye and had trouble with his vision, and Jason Herzog, the referee, was forced to step in and call it off as a no contest. The fight was going well for Imavov, so it's quite unfortunate for him that that happened as well as Curtis. He was doing really well in the first round, won clearly, which is popping him at range, landing good clean shots, coming in, um, landing some good shots to the body, good 1-2s. Curtis was trying to get some things going, but he really just couldn't. And then the same thing was happening again in the second round. Imavov was just landing well everywhere. No grappling really happening. It was just a striking kind of clinic. Looked like it was going to be like the Hermansson versus Curtis fight, and it was going to just go to a decision for Imavov. But unfortunately, they were coming in for an exchange, coming into the clinch. Southpaw versus Orthodox. Imavov threw a right hand, slipped over to one side, and then as he came back in, clashed heads with Chris Curtis, and he could not continue the fight. So it's quite unfortunate for him. This fight, I'd say you could run it back. I'd say not to. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's pretty clear Imavov's the better fighter, and it's just a waste of months for the two of them. Curtis will need some time to recover. That's the second time he's been headbutted in a fight. This time was a lot worse than against Gastelum. But Imavov didn't take much damage. He should be looking to get back in there in September on that Paris card that's been announced. And I don't think he needs to wait around for Chris Curtis. I think he should be fighting a Roman Dolidze. I think that's the fight to make there. And I think as far as Curtis goes, you wait for him to come back and you give him an Anthony Hernandez, I think. I don't think he's earned fighting up the rankings. He lost to Gastelum, beat Buckley, who was unranked now at welterweight, lost to Hermansson. So he's lost to those ranked guy at the top, like upper echelon of the division. So I think he's got to. I know he's a fun fighter, but he's got to get a win first. Got to win first outside the rankings, defend his position. He's ranked to number 14. So he needs to win before I think he deserves another top ranked opponent. So I think he should fight maybe a Hernandez or maybe a Brendan Allen, I guess. He is ranked, but one of those kind of guys, maybe a Tavares or something like that. Winner of Weidman versus Tavares, I could see happening if Curtis needs some time. That fight's happening in August. And I think Imavov should fight Roman Dolidze on the Paris card. I think that's a matchup that makes a lot of sense. Moving on to the main card opener of Marc-Andre Barriault versus Eryk Anders. This one fight of the night, and it was a good fight, a middleweight fight. These two went at it for the 3 rounds. The first round was very exciting. Anders got dropped by Barriault. He landed a big right hand, put him down, and then apart from that, the rest of the round was quite even. But Barriault won that round. Second round was very close, could have gone either way. Back and forth action, good exciting fight. And then the third round, Barriault really just pulled away with the better cardio, the better technique, and put those combinations together and won himself a decision, 30-27 on all 3 scorecards. Could have given the rounds to Anders, but doesn't matter anyway. Barriault won. Um, so Barriault won the fight. One fight of the night. It was quite exciting. There weren't a heap of action-packed, wild fights that went long on this card. The finishers obviously can't give them fight of the night. They all got performance of the nights, but these guys, Barriault did very well for himself. Got a win to open up the main card in front of Canada, and I picked him to win, so I'm happy with that. Moving on, Dan Ige versus Nate Landwehr. Dan Ige won a unanimous decision, 30-27, I believe, on all scorecards. Maybe there was a 29-28 in there for Landwehr. But the story of the fight was pretty much just Landwehr. It was a back and forth round. Ige was probably winning both the first and the second rounds, back and forth. And then right at the end, similar to a kind of situation with Rob Font and Marlon Vera, Landwehr kept getting dropped right at the end. First round was bad, got dropped. Second round was even worse, got really badly wobbled, and it was looking like it was almost going to be done. Ige was landing some good ground and pound at the end of the second round, but Landwehr managed to survive. And then he grit down and fought back in the third, but didn't get a finish. Found a lot more success in the third. Ige was looking really good, sharp, and just proved to be a step ahead of Landwehr, who's just still outside that top, top 15 kind of range. So that showed in this fight. Ige, I think he's won 2 fights now against unranked fighters. Beat Damon Jackson in January, beat Nate Landwehr now. Both fighters coming off win streaks. So I think he deserves to fight up the rankings. I think you can give him maybe a Chikadze, maybe a Mitchell, any one of those kind of 8, 15 to number 8 ranked guys. I think he deserves an opportunity. He's defended his ranking. He deserves an opportunity to fight up. So congratulations to him. Moving on to the third fight on the card, on the main card, Mike Malott got a big submission win over Adam Fugitt. He did really well in the first round, was landing body kicks very well, timing him well with the 1-2, hurting Fugitt to the body, landed a big body kick early, thought it could have been finished, but Fugitt was tough and survived. Got to the second round, still same thing, Malott was just showing to be a lot better. In exchange, he hurt Fugitt, and then as he chased him to the ground, jumped on a guillotine and submitted him. So that was very impressive from Mike Malott. He got a big win in front of his home fans. He talked a lot during the build-up, really got a country around him, and this guy could definitely be a Canadian star at welterweight. It looks really, really good. Kind of hard to gauge his skill, his full extent of his skill level, given that he is just fighting those kind of unranked guys. But as far as he still has not won a fight that hasn't been finished. He's finished every single one of his fights. 6 submissions, I believe he's got 4 or 5 knockouts. So he looks really good and definitely something to watch out of Canada. So that's really good stuff for him moving forward. And he could definitely be a star, though. He could definitely be someone that UFC looks to promote. I would say definitely not a ranked opponent right now. I think that'd be too soon at welterweight for him. I think maybe 1 or 2 more good performances like that. And if he's really showing that he's just still able to get those quick, easy finishes over guys that are around 20 to 25 ranked in the welterweight division, then that's really where we're going to have to start looking at him as a real star and someone who can really make an impact in the welterweight division. But yeah, so it was really good for him. Moving on to the co-main event, Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. This was the co-main event. Amanda Nunes won by domination, unanimous decision, 50-44, 50-44, 50-43 were the scorecards. Really no doubt about it, just proved to be a much better fighter. Aldana had nothing for her, to be honest. Was struggling to get going, looked a bit scared, looked a bit too respectful of Amanda Nunes' power and her skill, and just really didn't come forward with much of her own offense as well. So it wasn't a very impressive performance from her. Nunes looked very good, and she retired afterwards. So congratulations to her, obviously. An amazing career. Definitely the greatest female fighter of all time. 11 title fights, I believe it was. And is dominating fighters, anyone that comes away. She's fought pretty much everyone. Beat Rousey, beat Cyborg, beat Holm, beat Pena, beat Pennington, beat Aldana now. She's beat really just everyone in that at the top of the division. So it's almost a good thing, to be honest, that she retired, because let's be honest, we don't need to fucking see a Pena 3. We don't need to see a Pena trilogy. Pena's talking a whole lot of shit afterwards. Shut up. Like, shut up. You fucking got 50-43 by the chick. Like, don't talk like you would beat her. She's talking like we need to see a fucking trilogy and that Nunes was ducking her and shit. And if she genuinely believes that, she's my least favorite fucking fighter right now, because you can't say that. Like, you beat her, good job, you won the belt, that's how you got fucking relevant. It was pretty much, respectfully to Pena, it was a fucking fluke. Nunes had a shit camp and was sick. Couldn't train, was injured. So, along those lines, we could see it. Came back in the rematch and dominated her and schooled her, and Pena looked horrible. So there was never a need for a third fight, and the fact that Pena, if she's genuinely pushing and believing the fact that Nunes was ducking her, then she's absolutely delusional. But now with Nunes retiring, obviously a fantastic career for her, making its way to an end. It's finished now. Retiring as a double champion, something that hasn't been done before. But let's be honest, she's a bantamweight champion. The featherweight belt does not mean anything at this point. But still good for her. Had a nice moment. She put both belts down in the middle of the octagon, put her gloves in between them, and had a great moment and a great retirement. But if we're going to talk about um, the bantamweight division, um, moving forward, the women's bantamweight division, Pena is probably going to be a half of a vacant title fight. Unfortunately, I guess she deserves it. She was going to get the fight with Nunes, even though she doesn't deserve it. But whoever the opponent in front of her will be, um, I don't think she'll win. Well, I hope she doesn't, at least. It's either you're looking at probably Raquel Pennington, which would be just awful, but that's a terrible fight. Like, that gains no interest, I don't think. Holly Holm would be a slightly better option. She's got a fight booked with Maribona Silva. Don't know why that's a fucking main event of a fight night, but I guess it is. So if Holm wins that, she's ranked number 3, I believe, even though I think she should be ranked above Pena. Um, so if Holm does win that fight against Silva, then I'd prefer Holm versus Pena. Obviously can't be Holm versus Pennington. She's beat her twice already, Holm has. So Holm versus Pena or Pennington versus Pena for the vacant title. Make it happen quickly and just get a fake champion in this division so we can just get a move on. You're probably going to be seeing the title change hands a lot now. And to be honest, it's probably going to be a bit more exciting. The belt will mean jack shit, but at least there'll be titles changing hands and some more intriguing matchups than just a standard, customary Nunes domination waiting to happen. So we'll see what happens next there. As far as Aldana goes, I did say at the start of the video I'll make some fights to make. Aldana, I'd say go back, relook, fight probably. If so out of Pena, Pennington, and Holm, whichever one of them doesn't get a title shot, probably make Aldana fight them, or you could do like one of those upcoming fights. I think Caitlin Vieira is fighting someone on that July card. I forget who she's fighting, but she is. Maybe if they win against Vieira, make that happen. But Aldana really needs to go back and just kind of regroup, take some time off. She took a lot of damage in this fight. Got some numbers here. Nunes landed 196 strikes, had 6 takedowns, 7 minutes of control time, landed 21 in round 1, 31 in round 2, 23 in round 3, 48 in round 4, and 19 in round 5. and Aldana landed at 40 strikes total. So it was a domination from Nunes, and Aldana needs to go back, take some time, really regroup, and figure out really what she did wrong there. There's obviously a lot of things she did wrong, but she needs to understand that, and she'll come back strong. I'm sure she'll be. She's a good fighter. I just knew that she wouldn't be at the level of Nunes. So yeah. So Aldana, just get back into it, and then we'll get a vacant bantamweight belt, and pray to the Lord, pray to Beneil Dariush's Jesus that they fucking get rid of this women's featherweight division, because that thing is an abomination to the sport and just makes the sport look like it doesn't mean anything in the women's divisions. Um, but moving on to much better, more exciting matters. The main event of the card, really, the people's main event. Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. Charlie Olives, my boy, got the KO win in the first round. Fucking happy for him. I love this man so much. I was watching it live, and I was just jumping out of my seat, screaming. I'm so happy that he won this fight. It was really good to see. Very impressed with his performance as well. And he looked really good in this fight. So, and it was great to see him get back on the high horse and get back with a win. Following obviously a tough loss to Islam Makhachev. But that's looking like that's going to be the next fight to make. Um, and I'm excited for it. I think Oliveira. I don't know who will win. I'll be 100% rooting for Charles Oliveira without a doubt. But you do have to really look at the first fight. I hope he's right. I hope Oliveira, when he says that was not me at all, 10% of me was there, that he's right and he's got a lot more to give in that Islam fight, because Islam, let's be honest, did win comfortably in the first fight and he did school him. Um, but I really do want Oliveira to get that fight and get that one back, because that would look really good for him. But I'm so happy that he won. Um, in the fight, he looked really good. Opened up, landed a big head kick in the first 30 seconds of the fight. Had a bit of back and forth on the feet. Beneil landed some good body kicks, good leg kicks. And then Oliveira kind of had a bit of a lapse of judgment in the grappling as well. Kind of pulled guard semi, or got lost balance and got taken down. Ended up on bottom for a bit, stayed out of trouble, blocked Beneil shots and landed some good shots off his back as well. Used a really nice sweep and got up. And then when he got back to the feet, he was a man on a mission, and he got to work right away. Landed that big head kick off Beneil's guard, kind of blocked it off the side, bounced into his head, got dazed by it. Oliveira hits hard as fuck, clearly. Um, and then just chased him down and finished him. Cracked him with a big right, big left, similar to the Michael Chandler fight, running him down. You could see Dariush was just not. He was almost surprised by the power. He was shocked, frozen by the power of Charles Oliveira, frozen like Elsa. Dariush was, and Oliveira wrapped up a first round knockout, and I'd say that was probably his most impressive performance to date. Obviously, he's had some very good ones, very impressive performances. The Chandler fight was rocky. The Ferguson fight was dominant. The Poirier fight was very impressive, but he got dropped. Gaethje fight impressive, quick finish, but he got dropped. But this is the first fight in a while since Tony Ferguson, since December of 2020. This is the first fight Oliveira's had where he hasn't been dropped. Everyone's fucking talking about knocked down Charles Oliveira as a mythical fighter. He powers up once he gets knocked down. Motherfucker, I'm talking about non-knocked down Charles Oliveira. I'm talking about non-concussed, clear-headed Charles fucking Oliveira. Because that man is scary, and that man's got some fucking heat in his hands, and he's got intent on the feet. And he looks like a real threat to Islam. I think the second fight with Islam, it's just going to happen. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot closer. And I'm going to be picking Oliveira to win. Because I really fucking like this guy. And I think I think the story of it really just lines up. And I think he's in line. I think the storyline of his career appeared to be like build his way to the top slowly, won the belt. It was an amazing moment, and then had the title fights. Everyone was like, he's rivaling Khabib's kind of legacy here. Lost to Islam. Everyone's like, oh, the story is over. The story is not fucking over, guys. The story is not over. Charles Oliveira is still one of the best fighters on the planet, one of the best lightweights on the planet. Um, right there with Islam Makhachev, in my opinion. Levels ahead of Dariush, levels ahead of Poirier, levels ahead of Justin fucking Gaethje, levels ahead of Chandler. He's fought every single fucking one of them in the top five, and apart from Islam, he's fucking submitted or finished all of them, and I get around it. Um, so I'm pumped right now. The made the card for me. Overall, the card wasn't sensational, but this fucking fight right here, the real main event, if this had just been the actual main event and finished off the card, would have been so much better. But then we had to sit through 25 minutes of Aldana being a human punching bag. So that's unfortunate, but the card was made by Oliveira, made my fucking day, made my week, made my month, made my fucking year. This guy's got me excited. Charles Oliveira, I'm gonna fucking go blonde. I don't care. Next time you guys see me, I'm cutting my hair and I'm going blonde. I'm gonna be looking like Oliveira, guys, because this guy's fucking sick. Um, and then maybe I'll just gain some magical powers. Maybe that's what you got to do. But Oliver's clearly made some changes. Looking a lot better. Back tattoo Oliveira, non-concussed Oliveira, motivated Oliveira. Oliveira trying to get a title back. Contender Charles Oliveira is a dangerous motherfucker. And I can't wait to see what he does next. It should be the Islam fight, but if it's not, I feel bad for whichever fucking soul has to put up with that man next. Because if it's not Islam Makhachev, he's fucking running through whoever they put in front of him. So really good stuff. As far as my picks for the card went, I didn't publish them. I didn't put them out publicly or make a prediction video like I said I might have. But as far as the card went, I started off 0-1 with Belbita. I picked Oliveira. She wasn't good. I picked Dvorak. I didn't trust Erceg making his debut on 8 days' notice or a few days' notice. He proved me wrong. I went 0-3 with Nelson against Bilder. Bilder got fraud checked. Came back 1 out of 4 with Helwani Zahabi getting that first round knockout, get around him. Good stuff, Ariel. Went to 1-5 with Jasudivicius beating Maverick. I picked Maverick, as did many people, but she got kind of fraud checked as well and proved to be not very good. Then the no contest, obviously, so I'm 1-4-1. I'm 1-4-1 going into the main card, and then I fucking swept the main card. Barriault beat Anders. I picked him to win. Ige beat Landwehr. Picked him to win. Malott got this round 2 sub. I picked him to win. Oliveira got the knockout. I picked him to win. Not many people did. Everyone was fucking counting him out, saying that he's done, saying he's going to go on a slide. Everyone was saying it's Dariush's turn now. It's not Dariush's turn. It's still fucking Oliveira's time, guys. This is still the Oliveira, and I'm loving it. And then obviously Nunes rounded out the card with a win. So I ended up being 6-1-4, I believe. So yeah, I got Bilder, Maverick, Dvorak, and Belbita. Oliveira wrong. Curtis versus Imavov, obviously the headbutt. I'm really like as a total, I won't count it for my picks. But everyone, if you watch that fight, you can clearly fucking see that Imavov was schooling him. He was going to win that fight, but the game's the game. You can't talk in if buts and maybes. You got to do absolutes. And Imavov didn't win on paper, and that's the only thing that matters, according to Anthony Smith. Um, so, but then the main card, I did really well. Swept the main card. Excited about that. It was good stuff. And it was overall a good card. Oliveira versus Dariush definitely made it. If that hadn't been on there, probably like a 4 or 5. Oliveira versus Dariush made it like a 7 in my opinion. But I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. I'll probably do a Vittori Cannonier prediction. Goodbye.